Anas. He'll be talking. Yeah. So
Hello.
he'll give his second talk today. So Sebastian on algebraic complexity. Today he'll be talking about depth reduction, homogenization, multilateralization. So, yeah, so Sebastian.
Hello, yes, so thank you very much. Yes, so today I will talk about structural results. And so I put depth reduction, homogenization, multilateralization, and I put some dots after, but I think only the first three will be mainly the talk. Just the idea first, what we want to look at this some of structural results. After, we'll look at bit homogenization and set multilinearization to be quite fast, because I think the main point of the talk, it is the parallelization step, reduction of the depth. We'll come back to homogenization a bit at the end. Okay. So some idea in general, we want to do some lower bounds for arithmetic models. We want to prove that some polynomial cannot be computed by your favorite model. Okay, how we can imagine such a lower bound? We first find a nice form from the model. So I say first step, and I can thank already, is not here, but maybe we see the slide after, Ramprasad Satyarishi, who will do the next two talk, I think, because I use some of his older slides. So thank you. So find a nice form for the model. Second step, we want to construct a measure which is small for this nice form. So everything which has this nice form, the measure for the polynomial is always small in this case. Step 3, in general, we want to show that if we take randomly a polynomial, it will be large for this measure. In general, the next step is to find one polynomial which suggests the measure is large. And so step 2, 3, 4 will be more what will appear in the lower bound part, so it will be explained in the next talks. But so in this talk, we will focus on the step 1. So the goal is to find, we have some, as idea, we know we have a small circuit, and we have to find some nice forms. And in fact, we have a lot of varieties of nice forms. The idea of why this is interesting is because after, in the second step, we have different measures, and the different measures work differently well with different forms we can get here. So it's good to have a lot of way to change our small circuit to find here the best nice circuit, nice model we can put here, so that we find a measure which works. So now the idea in this talk, we want to focus on this. It's what I will say we'll call a structural results, means that we have some model who compute something and want to find something in a particular form. Okay, and mainly here what we'll do, there are 3 things such as we'll make it nicer. It's about the degree which are computed in the middle, mostly the homogenization, and the set multiplication, which are to allow, if we'll see later, and depth reduction, it's what appears a bit here on the drawing. If there's something which is a lot of big depth, maybe we can get something which is a depth which is smaller. Okay. So now I think everyone knows that so we have different models that what we can compute it by formulas can compute by BP, and BP can be simulated by circuits. So already we talk about reverse inclusion. Already I mentioned that if we have a circuit, we can compute by a formula with s to the big O of log b. We have some blow up. In fact, we'll show here this blow up in particular. It will be a consequence of something with. To the introduction things, a few words about fan-ins, because in general, I don't mention each time the fan-in and they change always. So when I don't mention, normally we are in this case, we have no constraint, big constraint on the depth. So what is often quite easy to use is for plus gate, we allow unbounded fan-in. And for multiplication gate, we need a constant funny. Alors, constant, in general, we can imagine 2. This most of time multiplication with 2 inputs. We'll see in this talk several times 5 is quite useful. We'll see why. And so that is for when there are no big constraints of the depth. There is a big problem when the depth is constant. For example, if your polynomial is something of depth 3, because if you have the multiplication gate, there is only constant thing. Even if you have 5, you cannot compute something more than degree 5. So if you put constant here, you can only constant degree, so it's not interesting. So as soon as it will be constant degree, now it will be unbounded and bound. Okay. So first, I say we'll talk about homogenization. And so what we want, we have a polynomial, we have a circuit which computes a polynomial. So let's say first our polynomial is homogeneous. We want to compute it. The circuit, I don't know if it is homogeneous. The circuit, so we say it's homogeneous when all intermediate gates are homogeneous. Something which is very interesting for us in this circuit, mainly the reason why in general we care about this circuit, is the fact that all intermediate polynomials have small degree. It's a way to restrict the intermediate degrees which are computing. For circuit and IBP, I will show just after. In fact, it's quite easy. We can assume if you have a circuit which computes your polynomial is homogeneous, you can assume your circuit is homogeneous. We'll see just after a while. For formulas, we don't think this is the case. So we don't think this is the case. If we are able to prove this is not the case, we separate the formulas to VP or MP, so we are not able to prove it, but it doesn't seem true. And for constant depth formula, we know this is not true. Something maybe we'll see a bit later, but for example, if you want to compute determinant in depth 4, in fact, in non-homogeneous, we can do it in size n to the cubic root of n. We'll see that a bit later. And I guess in the next talks, Ramprasad will say that in homogeneous, if you want to compute determinant of n, you need size at least 2 maybe. For determinant, we don't know. Oh, sorry. Determinant, we don't have exactly the n. But which is larger. So we know that the lower bound for homogeneous is larger than the upper bound for non-homogeneous. So we know that in constant depth we cannot homogenize it without with a polynomial block. Okay, so I just say I will talk a bit about how we can compute if we have the circuit which compute our polynomial. So we want to homogenize our circuit. And I think it's good to know the proof and the idea, because this idea of proof, the duplicating gate, appears a lot of times. It's something very, very usual in these transformations. The idea is what? The idea is if you have a polynomial, in fact, what we want, from now on, we have a circuit. And each gate is maybe not homogeneous. It means it computes something with different degree. So different degrees, it means there is a constant part. There is a, maybe, okay. Let's see, write it, I don't know. Wait, let's see that. So I will put it like that. Where alpha I is a homogeneous part of degree I. When the degree here is a multivariate polynomial, so I say the total degree. Okay. First thing we can notice when we do homogeneous computation, at the end, if our circuit is homogeneous, it means at each gate we compute a polynomial which is homogeneous, so we can associate one particular degree at each gate. So in fact, this sequence of degree can only increase or stay the same, but it cannot decrease, strictly decrease. If it decreases, it means that we cancel everything, we come back to 0, and we can just replace the gate by 0 and remove what is below. In particular, if at the end we want to compute something which is degree d, we never need to compute something larger than d in a homogeneous circuit until there. So in fact, if we have a gate here of degree, maybe a put p, something large degree, in fact, we can just say we can look at until alpha d plus alpha larger than d, that we will not care. Okay, so now the idea is here in our circuit, we have one gate, alpha. We want to copy this gate to d plus 1 new gates. And the idea, we just want this gate compute alpha. We would like this gate compute alpha 0, alpha 1, alpha d. It's just the idea is just to duplicate the gate enough time. The good thing is now the alpha I are homogeneous. So now we just want to show that we can compute the alpha I from the, we do it inductively. So we want to compute the alpha I from the beta I which are below. Inductively, we do that for the leaves, for the next layer, and so on. And so we want to, each layer, we want to be able to compute these different gates. For the leaves, it is easy because the leaf is it's either a constant. If it is a constant, it means that we can look at the gate we want to associate with this one. D plus 1 it want to associate with this one. We put 3 for the constant part and 0 everywhere else. Similarly, if our gate is a variable xi, we put 0 to the corresponding constant gate, xi to the degree 1 gate, and 0 everywhere else. So now the thing is to look at the addition gate and the multiplication gates. For the addition gates, so we want to compute the sum of two things. So G, the original circuit, was the sum of G1 and G2. In particular, if you look at the ith component of G, but in fact, it's easy, it's just the sum of the ith component of G1 plus the ith component of G2. By induction, we know how to compute them. We just replace this plus by this mu plus in the new circuit. And now, if our gate is a multiplication, okay, I'm not consistent. I already said just before that I will say that addition will be unbounded. If you have unbounded addition, it's the same. No problem here. And so I say we look at, for example, the constant to be multiplication finding 2 for multiplications. In fact, the idea is if we have something between 2, we can sum for everything between j between 0 and I, and you look at the part of degree j and the part of the remainder I minus j. So to replace the multiplication gate, we need to replace by the sum gate and to create I new gates. I is always bounded by d. So to each multiplication gate, we need to create d, at most d, new multiplication gates. So total. First, we take our gates and we multiply each gate, we copy them d plus 1 times. And now for all the multiplication gates, there are at most s. No, sorry. All the multiplication gate and all the corresponding thing here, all the multiplication gate and all the homogeneous component of a multiplication gate. So there are at most S times D plus S times D even. We create at most the new multiplication. That is the number of times we create a new multiplications, and each time we create a new multiplication. Maybe this is D plus 1. So we can always, if we have a circuit, we can homogenize it, complexity, so it will be a blow-up, which will be a S D square, maybe D plus 1 square. I think we can get D square if we are careful. Okay, so blow up, you multiply something by something in D square. If in general, we look at a polynomial of small degree, it's not a big blow up. I will not do it for ABP, but it's the same idea. You look at your polynomial which is computed between the source and your gate, and you duplicate. You want each time to compute the homogeneous components. And you will get also a polynomial in D blow up. Okay. And just to mention, I say that, but yeah, Jean cited this Strachan who explained that. Multilinearization. The class is a bit more strange. It's not very usual to look at that when you look at structural results. And we'll see there even something I don't know exactly. And so we look at multilinear and set multilinear circuits. So we already mentioned them. So just to recall in 1 minute. So when polynomial, we say it's multilinear if in each variable the degree is at most 1. And set multilinear, it means that we can partition the set of variables such that any monomial of this polynomial will take exactly 1 variable of each one of these sets. So natural way to consider this model of computation, it means that multilinear circuits or multilinear formulas or set multilinear circuits and so on, it will be to say that every intermediate gate has to be multilinear, set multilinear. Something happened, in fact, it's not very useful. It's not the notion in general we want to use. So this notion, we say it's a semantic. We say that each gate computes something, and we have a constraint about what is computed, but we have no constraint about the structure of the circuit of the formula. In general, we prefer to put a syntactic restriction. So we'll mainly work with a syntactic multilinear circuit or syntactic set multilinear circuit. And in fact, it's just the natural restriction we want to put on the structure of the circuit to force the gate to be multilinear or set multilinear. For example, a circuit is multilinear. So what we want to force that each time we have a multiplication to not create a thing we have 2 variables which appear with a big degree at least 2. So what to say, we want to associate with every gate a subset of variable in a natural way. When we have a constant gate, we associate the empty set. When we have a variable, you associate the singleton, which is this variable. When you have an addition gate, you associate, so this we associate with the set S alpha and the set S beta. You want to associate the union of S alpha and S beta. The idea is here we look at all variables which appear here the same, all variables which appear here xi, all variables which appear below this plus will be this union. Or even or the same, they put 2, but if I take a big sum, it will be just a big union. And if we want a multiplication, we want to associate the same, the union. And we want to do something, we want this is a disjoint union. What is your favorite symbol for disjunct union? In particular, so if your circuit has this form, we can associate this, and each time here it's really a disjunct union, you are sure that your circuit is multilinear, and every gate everywhere compute multilinear polynomials. In general, every time we want to transform something in multilinear, we get something like that. So for the following, it will be that. The same thing happens for set multilinear. If we want syntactic set multilinear, we associate with each gate a set of indices, the set corresponding to the set of the partition we want to look at. When you have the sum, we do the union, and when you do the multiplication, we want to be sure. Okay, set multilinear is a bit more, if I want to say like that, because for the addition, I want all the sets are the same. Okay, I will put the definition. No. Sorry, I forgot the main word. So the idea is actually the same. If you have a constant, you want to associate empty set. If you have a variable xi, which belong, so xi belongs to some set, I will put a small xi. Yep, to some set j. I want to associate the j. For set multilinear, in fact, we want that when you do that, all the S alpha are the same. And now your new one is the same. And for multiplication gate, you want to do the disjunct union. Okay, if you force things to be like that, you force your thing to be a set multilinear. Okay. In fact, if you want to transform our thing in multilinear, set multilinear, it's expensive. And ever for multilinear, I don't know. I don't know if there are some way. I searched a bit. I saw nothing interesting. Because something which happened for syntactic, in general, what we look at is this thing, syntactic set multilinear. We have a blob in a 2 to the d which appears. So when I try the construction for multilinear, we have a blob in 2 to the d. So the problem if multilinear 2 to the d, it can be 2 to the n, and compute a polynomial with a blob 2 to the n. Multilinear, it means that the number of polynomials is at most 2 to the n. So computing a multilinear polynomial with a blob in 2 to the n is trivial. It's just a depth 2. We expand all your polynomials. And I don't know, I just don't know if there is a way better than that for anything in multilinear. So it's still a model I think it's interesting with linear because you can find a lower bound or something like that. But I don't think that we can transform a lower bound for multilinear circuit or formula into a lower bound for something more general. Well, I don't know how. And I searched the literature, I never saw any motion or something transformation like that. So I think here, the best we can do is the trivial. Here, it's really more interesting for set multilinear. In fact, we can notice that if you have a circuit, doing roughly the same idea than what we did just before for homogenization. It means that for each gate, we want to force it to be set multilinear. And in fact, so idea we copy each gate 2 to the d times, where each copy corresponds to one subset of indices. There are 2 to the d subset of indices. We copy this gate this number of times. We do the same thing. We'll get always the s times the blob will be 2 to the d. If we want to do that with formula, if you start with the formula, the problem of this transformation is what we get at the end, it's really a circuit, it's not a formula. So we can get something to go to formula, you go to circuit, and now you transform the circuit into a formula. It gives something, I think it can be interesting because it will give something in S to the so this is possible. I didn't put it, but in fact, this is possible. You just you say it, your formula, it's a circuit, you multilinearize it, and you transform back to the formula. But there is something which is in general more useful in this one. I think it's not always, in general, it's not comparable for all SD, but there is this one which is more interesting by RANRAS, where in fact it's the ID is always the same. We want to copy the gate number of honest time, but in this case, it's the formula. You know, this gate will be computed only in the path above, and so you want to be very careful how many times you copy your gate. So it's just there's always the same ID, but with a careful analysis about how many times you need to copy your gates. And with constant depth, always the same ID we can do in SD to the big O of D. Yes, yeah. I mean, not to talk to. Okay, so that is what we can do when we want to make your circuit multilinear or submultilinear. So we see multilinear and submultilinear is not a good thing. One thing which is very good in arithmetic complexity, and I think the reason why arithmetic complexities are a lot of good things which happens, big difference with Boolean complexity, is the reduction of the depth. So now we start with a formula or a circuit, and you want to get something of smaller depth. What can you do? So just to mention first, what are the main results? After we'll detail more inside. So if we start with a formula, there are all results by brains that we can get log S depth. So this is not very surprising for me. Seems to become a bit more interesting with circuits. So Yafil shows that we can get log D with a blow-up. It's not polynomial already. But in fact, this thing from circuit log D, I think the main result on this area, it's a result by Valiance, Kuhn, Berkovits, Serakov, who shows that if you have a polynomial computed by a circuit, a small circuit, polynomial size circuit, you can always get log D depth. I recall for me, addition, the fan-in is unbounded, multiplication, the fan-in is constant. So if you want a constant for the fan-in, it will get log square D. It's why in general we say that VP corresponds to the class NC2 in Boolean. It was the square come from, because the NC or AC in general, you want NC2, you want fan-in to be constant. Okay, but that it's we want to get something till here. We want to transform a circuit until to get a small circuit, and we see how minimal depth you can get. But now, if you want to improve to get depths which are really smaller, even if you blow up a bit the size of your circuit. And in fact, the first result of this ID, and the first ID here, it was by Agrawal Leviné. So the idea they showed that if you start, when I say until here it was a small circuit, but here a circuit which is only sub-exponential. So the size of the circuit is 2 to the small O of n, where n is a number of variable. You can get a depth 4, which is also sub-exponential. But something which can be after interesting, it's here it's very strong in the sense that you need very few things here. What happens if you have a circuit you know it's small? In particular, the first result when it shows that we can get S to the big O of square root of D log D. And the second one, after when we can improve a bit the log D and get S to the big O of square root of D in the top. And if we want to improve a bit more the depth, going to depth 3, in fact, Gupta, Kamat, KL, Tatrishi showed that we can get also to S to the big O of square root of B, to depth 3. I put some star, I will just say after what. And in fact, something I think it's not always very known, or I don't know why it's like that, but it's always very interesting and very nice. Is in fact, this result implies something for depth 4. This result implies that if you do the proof of this thing, if you want to reduce a small circuit to Z4, you can get in S to the D to the 1/3. It is a cubic root I said before for determinant, which appear. I put some stars here because there is one big difference between these two results and the result before. This result before, in fact, they are quite nice in the way that they keep homogeneity, also multinarity, simultaneity. And mainly, they keep homogeneity. In particular, everywhere, if we're homogeneous at the beginning, we are still homogeneous at the end. These two results, in fact, increase very highly the intermediate degrees. If we do this one or this one, the intermediate degrees really explodes in the middle. So if we do that, we keep the homogeneity. If we do that, we have very small circuits with very small depths, but which are not homogeneous at all. Okay. So let's look at about these reductions. Yeah, so just before, so I mentioned reduction from small circuit directly, but if you know more things at the beginning, there are also a lot of things in general like that. Say, for example, if you know at the beginning your formula is multilinear, your formula is multilinear, you can get some, you can write it like that. So this is the sum of product, UGI, so product from degree, so you can say it's so a sum of product. So mostly it's a depth 4 reduction. So that it was you start with multilinear formulas, you start with homogeneous formula where mostly the same thing. The constraint of your GI are not anymore the number of variable, but the degree. So we'll come back at some point in a few minutes about this result. So there are other things if we know at the beginning something more about your model. Okay, back to the classical results. So we say first we want to try first thing to reduce the depth of the formulas. Okay, so we have a formula. So the idea it was you can find a gate such that below the subtree it is of size between 1/3 and 2/3 of the total size. In particular, the other part, the remainder, has size complementary, so also between S to the 1/3 and S to the 2/3. It's always possible to find such a gate. How? So assume now the Fannin is constant is 2 for multiplication, otherwise you get it in 2. And each time you take your gate, you start at the top, so the degree will be too large. Sorry, I missed something. I don't need the degree. So yeah, just the size. So you start as the gate, as the output gate. The size is S. You go below, you take the largest children. You take Fannin 2. Yeah, for here, you take Fannin 2 everywhere. Take the largest children. It has Fannin at least half. It has the size at least half of the size of the parent. And each time the sign can divide by at most 2, can be divided by at most 2. So there is always one time when you will go by a gate, so that the size below will be between S to the 1/3 and S to the S times 2/3. So you can always find such a gate. Okay, and so now again, you cut your formula in 2 parts. Here there was a gate before. When you cut, you put a new variable, Z. As it is a formula, you know something. You know that, in fact, so yeah, you can say now you have this formula which compute something. You know it's the form AZ plus B. You can, in fact, you know it's a formula, so this gate can be used at most one time. Z appear only here. It's just a new variable you add when you cut this time. The variable appear only in only one place. So each time you have a multiplication, there is only one path which goes to Z. So it never multiplies by itself. So the polynomial at the end is degree at most 1 in Z. The original phi, it was exactly this polynomial when we replace this gate by phi2. Okay, and so now we say easily we can compute. You can say that you can find A and B from that. The idea is just look at phi1 of 0. It's just B. You replace B by phi1 0. Now, if phi1 of 1, it will be A plus B. If you remove phi1 of 0, you will get A. So A is just phi1 of 1 minus phi1 of 0. Okay, so now we computify by something of this form. So phi, it is just the sum of, we compute that, we compute the multiplication here, we compute the things below here. And in fact, by induction, we know that all these formulas have size at most S times 2/3. 2/3 of S. We do the induction on this formula. The new size, each time we multiply the size of the thing which are below by 4, and we add a constant number of gates. And for the depths, we just use the depths which are below when we add 3 in depths. The first row implies that the size at the end is polynomial. And the degree will be logarithmic because you can only a constant time, you can take 2/3 of S before coming to a constant. Okay, so we transform our formula into a log S formula, log S depth, formula of depth log S. Okay, so it was the first thing for formula, but what is interesting now is to do it for circuits. What happened for circuits? Okay, let's do the same. So we want to do the same, take a gate here such that the size is between 1/3 of S and 2/3 of S. Problem. Now, we can get a gate like that, such that below it is that, but it's not true anymore that the complementary is also of size between 1/3 of S and 2/3 of S. Because for a circuit, it's possible, we have the gate here can be several outputs. So the gate here can be used by something here, but also something here. So if we take all paths which doesn't go by this gate, they can go a lot of time by other gates and things like that. So if you want to remove just this gate, the remainder maybe it's always almost all the circuit. So we don't have this thing when we cut into several small parts. Okay, so the idea in general is to look at, instead of cutting with the side, we will cut with the degree. The same idea, by the way, we can find something which has small degree. The idea is now, when compute what is here, when we multiply it more after until to go at the top, it will be multiplied by something I didn't say before. Yeah, we can start with homogeneous circuit. So when you have something which is at least d divided by 3 here, it can be multiplied after only by something which is at most 2/3 of d. The second problem which will appear is the fact there are several paths now from a phi to the gate. So it's not true anymore. Then we can write that a phi it is a times your gate plus something constant. Okay. First idea, so we want to take the gate which are mostly intermediate. So the gate which are, we say, between d1/3 and 2d3, 2/3 of d. Okay. What we can say, we can still say that our top output gate, it will be of the form. In fact, any computation to phi will go by one of these gates. So anything like that can be written in the form something linear in phi, something quadratic in phi I, phi j. If we don't, we can check. I will not really detail more if it's not clear, because in fact we'll see after how to do better. So I prefer to spend time on something which is better than that. Yeah. And now, by homogeneity, we know that all the phi I have degree between d divided by 1/3 or 2/3 of d. So we know that AI and AIJ also have small degree. Okay, so now we want to, before it was easy to get this coefficient. We put 0 or 1 to get back the coefficient. Now we cannot do that anymore, but there is still a way to do that, just interpolation. What it will do? So now the depth, it will be also, each time we have something of depth at most 2D divided by 3, if we look at the new formula. But the problem up here, so we still have log D. But if you look at the size, it's a bit more complicated to look at. But in fact, here we'll see the interpolation will cost, we multiply the thing by s squared at each layer. Each time we multiply by s squared, the depth will do it log D times. So obviously we'll get something in s to the log D at the end. Okay, I was probably a bit fast for that, but I don't want to detail too much because I will see after something better. So in fact, this result, it was the result by Yafil. So it was what it was known before. Okay, so the idea now is is it possible to avoid this blow up in the 2 to the log D? So in fact, one of the big reasons, if you look at proof the day before, it was the fact that there are some quadratic parts in phi which appear. And so one thing already, we don't want that. We want to force the fact that each time the part which appear is only linear of degree 1 and not 2. Okay, the problem it is there are several passes. So it's not the case. Okay, and so the good idea in VSBR is we don't look at all the passes. We only look at some particular passes which go from the top to the gate we want to consider. And in fact, what we call a canonical path, it will say for us, it will always take after each multiplication gate, we will consider the right path. So what will be the right path? It will be when you go from the top. Each time we meet a multiplication gate, you take the right. Each time we take an addition gate, you take every gate you want, every path you want. Multiplication, the right one, addition, anything. And now also we want to introduce new polynomials. New gate, in fact, it to be definitely new polynomials. What we want to say? We want to say that if U and V are two gates in our circuits, we want to look at this thing. This thing, what is it? It is if U and V are the same, we want to do the same. We want to say what? Just before giving the definition, I can give some idea what we want. So what we would like to, in fact, to look at all. I have something after to explain a bit more. It's just the idea before giving the definition. The idea below, it's the fact that in U, we would like to UV, it will be roughly what happens if we replace V by a variable. And we look at what will be the coefficient which appear in front of V. If we look at V, we replace by the variable Z. And we look at what will be the coefficient which appear in the coefficient of Z, where the coefficient, what we look at only the passes which go only by the right path. So look at U, we look at only the thing where the right path goes by Z. And we put the coefficient in front. Intuitively, it's what we want to do. We'll see a bit more detail after. But the reason that now, if you use UV, so it means that we are already U and we are already V, so we want to multiply this gate by 1. We have nothing to do. So it's the reason of it is 1. Otherwise, if U is already a leaf and which is not V, it means that from U, you cannot go by a right path to V. So it is 0. If U is a sum, U1 plus U2, you want to weigh the way to go from the right path from U1 to V and U2 to V. It's the same, not coherent, but I say if you take a big sum, it will be a big sum here. And now, what is more important, what is all this trick in this stuff, is this thing. How we want to define U of V, when U is a product gate, it is just the product of U1 times U2. We want to say, we just want to do U1 times the way to go from U2 to V. In here, we see it's not symmetric anymore in this part. Okay, an example about what we want to do. So we want to do something in between V1 and look at the path which go on the right path by V8. Okay, so we do our definition. V1, it is a sum. It is a sum, so it is a V2 V8 plus V3 V8. Okay, I will just notice that V3 V8 before, here it's a multiplication gate. So it will be V5 times V6 V8. And we see below that V8 does not appear below V6. So I can do this decomposition until I want, but at the end I will get 0. Now if I do that, I will get V9 V8 plus V10 V8. That I will get V9 times V3. V9 is V3 times V4. It's already X3. Okay. I didn't give a name for the gate, but you see X4 V8 plus V10 is X4 times X5 V8. And this is 0. This is 0. And in fact, it's what we saw. We could saw it before, the fact that from the V6 here, we cannot go to V8, things like that. And what you see, we saw from V3, V8, there is no path, right path to V3 to V8. In this here, we see that it's only the right path we consider. When multiplication, we take the left. For V3 to V8, there is a path here, but we choose the path on the left here. It will not work because the 2V8 disappeared here. So to be different to 0, is really V8 has to appear somewhere on the right path in this definition. Okay, so all this will be 0. Now let's continue. V2 is the product gate, so it's a V4 times V5 to go to V8. V4, we know it. We already computed, so we can complete it. It's X1, X2 plus X2, X3. V5 to V8, and V5 to V8. V5 is the plus gate. So it is V8, V8 plus V9, V8. Same thing here. We can think that V8 does not appear below V9, so this will be 0. V8, V8, when we have 2 times the same gate, it's 1. Okay, so I guess maybe it's more clear now what we want to say by this VI, VJ. So now I want to show that this works to do that. So we like a set of nodes. We want to find, for any gate, we start from a gate U. We like to find some nodes V, so that U can be computed from that. It was the idea, it was to compute a top node with something, we put something only of degree 1, V of degree 1, and some coefficient in front. Okay, what are the candidates for this gate? So there are 2 things we want. We want that when we compute U, we want to go by this gate V, and only one time. For example, if we take this and this in V, they will appear several times in this sum. A U, which you will compute, you will take this, and it will take this also in the right sum. There will be 2 paths. There is one path to this V1, and one path to this V2. And both passes will be a right path. So it will be another count here. So to force that, an idea very easy is to take only the gate at a very strict threshold. And you can say by a very strict threshold. If we look at, we fix a value A. We'll see how to fix it. And we take the gate V such that the degree is larger or equal, and all gates below are smaller. Particularly, at some point, this gate is in F. It means that the below they cannot be in F because they are strictly smaller, and above they cannot be in F because they are children which are larger. So now for any right path, there are exactly one gate like that. Every path, when we take all the path tree from a gate, there will be exactly one right path. So there will be exactly one gate such that we'll go by. So I don't know if it is clear on, okay. So I just mentioned something just before. One thing already also happened. It's the fact that one we want to do, so we would like to do some computation like that. And after we would like to do some induction on the V. In particular, we don't want that all the weight appear here. If all the weight appear here, we do the induction of thing which is small and we miss everything. So the idea is force the weight to appear here. And the idea, so we can force, if you have something like that, so we have something of degree 100, degree 19 here, and degree 10 here. In fact, at the beginning, we flip all the multiplication gate to force the right part to be heavy. So we just take any multiplication gate and we put the big degree, the children with a larger degree on the right. In particular, this reduction doesn't work for non-commutative formula or circuits. It's a result by so Mina, but with Allender, Jiao, and Binet. So in fact, the idea, if we compute U, you can compute it if we take the element here and we have exactly every right path will go exactly by 1V, and so we'll get such a decomposition. We can do exactly something similar with UW. In fact, mostly what will appear on the right of that, it will appear on the right here. And now, so we want to compute them. Okay, so we want to compute them inductively, and we would like that the degree of this thing is smaller, mostly, than the degree of that, so that we win something. It will be multiplied by a factor. It will be 2/3 of the degree. In fact, what we'll get the degree of this thing will be 1/2 of the degree of this thing. And now we want to do the induction. So how to choose A like that? Now, first, if a V is chosen, one thing we know, it means that the degree increase at this gate. It means it's a multiplication gate. So V, it is a VL times VR. What we like, you know U with degree U. Mostly we say we want to schedule at the degree of U divided by 2. In particular, with this value for f of U, what we know that this thing, the degree, it is degree of U minus degree of V. So as degree of V is larger than that, degree of this thing is at most degree of U divided by 2. Now, if we look at VL and VR, what we know in particular they are strictly smaller than A. Which is how we choose V. In particular, there are degrees strictly smaller than degree of U divided by 2. In particular, all these factors have degree smaller than degree of U divided by 2. It's okay for you. A bit more tricky is the fact when you want to compute UW. So UW, you do the same formula. You want to find some value where to cut. The idea, so the same idea is the fact that the degree increase in V, so V is a product gate. So for product gate, we know that VL will be all the VL, and the 2.W appear only on the right part. It's the definition of. Mostly, the idea is we have our gate U. Somewhere on the right, we'll go to the gate W, which has degree, let's say dW, degree du. Firstly, we'll have to cut in the middle. And in the middle, what you can say, it can be du minus. Sorry, we put. Firstly, we'd like to cut somewhere. It will be, let's say, du minus dW divided by 2. We cut this thing. So this thing, we want to replace that. But this thing will contain also W, so plus dW. Is an intuition about where we want to cut. After we'll show it works. So firstly, we want to take A is a du plus dW divided by 2. We want to take A like that. Okay. So now let's look at that this have small degrees. Look at UV. UV, the degree of UV, it is what? It was the degree of U minus degree of V. What we know, sorry, we know that degree of V, it is larger than that. By definition, degree of V is larger than that. Okay, so that is smaller than d of U minus d of U plus dW divided by 2. And this equal d divided by U. So this is half of the degree. Okay. Let's look at this part. The degree of this part, V of R, we know the V of R is smaller than A. So the degree is at most du plus dW divided by 2 minus dW, which is also du minus. So it's good also. It's also half the degree of that. Okay. The problem, in fact, we can see that it doesn't work for VL. What happens? The VL, what we know for VL, we know VL is of degree at most that. In particular, we can say even 1/4 of that, because we know it's the smallest between these two. So in at most half of the degree, corresponding degree. But that maybe maybe this, if du and dw are very close, this is very close to 0. This is not that close to 0. But the good thing, in fact, VL now is something on the form only VL. There is no the 2 dots. And that we know how to compute it, to know how to decrease the degree of that. So now we can reinject this thing in VL. VL, it's something on the Q in the we cut for V, for VL. And we have something in VLQ, QL, QR. And we know now all these things have degree, at most, degree of VL divided by 2. And I just said before, the degree of VL, it was at most du plus dW by 2. So there is 2 and 2, 4. And now, oh, sorry, what I wanted to say. Yeah, sorry. So what I said just before, it was not true. I think this was not true. It was du. I forgot what I said about the left side. And that I claim that this is sufficient with respect to du minus dw divided by 2, if I'm correct. Yeah, when you see seems strange, but what's with I need something. Ah, okay. Sorry, I missed. I did it just before, and now when I'm live. Okay, I will try to look at it calmly after. But believe me, there are degree at Mozart. I try, yeah, to write it, put it in the thing. Let's say it's okay. So now we have all our factor of degree at most half of this one. Okay. Okay. So now we can compute U by something like that, UW by something like that. In particular, now we want to take a formula which computes all these things and all these things. In fact, every gate or formula will compute either U, either this thing, or one product like that, or a product like that. Gate like that, there will be at most S. Gate of this type, there will be at most S square. Gates of this type, it will be at most, we need to fix U and V, so S square. Gates which will be a product like that, it will be at most, we need to fix U, we need to fix W, we need to fix V, we need to fix Q. So S to the 4. So every gate of circuit are either this product, or this product. The size is S4. When I say that now we can connect everything. If we want to compute something like that, we just do a sum of these things. Something like that, it's just a sum of these things which are computed. And these things are just products or things below which are computed the same year. Now we can connect everything. All addition gates are finding at most S square. The multiplication gate at we can get finding 5. It is why at some point I said sometimes it's useful to work with finding 5 because it's what we get with the VSBR reduction. And so we have the main property, what we really want, what is very interesting, is as soon as we have a multiplication gate, we know the degree of the children is always half the degree of the parent. In particular, this fact implies that each time we go by a multiplication gate, we divide the degree by at least 2. So the product is at least at most the log. Just to mention some first consequences of VSBR, I saw I'm quite late, so it's not too much. But first thing, I patiented until now. I already said the result, but I never really proved it. The fact that we can compute a circuit by a formula with a blow-up S to the log D. Now it's trivial. Why? If you have a circuit of size S, first thing we can do VSBR, and you get circuit of size still poly S. And now log D. And now the idea, we just expand everything. Formula, you don't want to have circuit. Okay, no problem. You copy each time everything to expand to avoid all the circuit. In particular, at each layer, you multiply by S the tile, the size of what you need. You take the top gate, there are at most, the finding at most S, there are at most S gates below. So you copy S copy of your below. Take each time below, the finding that was S, you copy S times. So we still have the poly S, which is just before, or it was the same. And we multiply by S to the log D. Oh, in fact, to be correct, there is some constant in front of the log D. That is the reason of this blow up. I already mentioned before, it was already mentioned. So it's direct mediate with VSBR. Another thing which is interesting is the easy way to construct universal circuits. Because for small circuits, it's not that easy as if you want to, in fact, it's possible, but it's not easy to directly construct universal circuit such that the degree of the universal circuit is still small. We like still that the universal circuit is MVP. When you want to mention a bit all the paths, all the multiplication you can do somewhere, you need to add a lot of multiplication in your universal circuit. In general, when you do it, the multiplication, the degree of your polynomial increases a lot. But if you start with something always the same of small depth, what you want to do, you can say multiply by a constant here that you have the input constant or addition. You have your list. After you have, you can say it's plus multiplication. And now your universal circuit, what you want to do, you just do. Now you leave, you know, it's a let's take it just x1, xn. When you have a layer which corresponds to addition gate, you want to do addition, and you want to do all the possible addition. Sorry, I will start by multiplication. It's easier. So when you have a layer which corresponds to a multiplication layer. Okay, you just need to be able to do a multiplication of 2 elements which are below, or 5. Okay, 5 elements. So you just need s to the 5 multiplication in this layer. When you have an addition gate, an addition layer, you do addition layer. We put some space. What you like for any, you want to do all linear combination you want from the things which are below. And in fact, the coefficient of the linear combination, you put it in new variable. So for any addition, you want to go to any gate below, which you can go. In fact, for any of the gate, you multiply by a new variable, a fresh variable each time. In fact, and you want to be able to say any of these plus will correspond to 1 plus here. 1 plus in one layer here, the atmos S. So you need atmos S plus like that. So you just need S plus. You can look at what you do inductively at the end, it will be universal. You can just replace variable to get what you want. And so the size, it will be at each layer, it's a poly S. So it will be size of poly S times log D. And the thing which is more interesting is you get the degree. The degree can increase by at most 5, you multiply by at most 5 at each multiplication layer. So at the end, it's multiplied by at most 5 to the log D, which is poly D to the some constant. So like that, we have a universal circuit for your polynomial circuit in VP, which belongs to VP. So in fact, you have for S fixed, you have one universal circuit. It is larger, size of the big small block, but okay. I think it's already, so I'll go a bit faster. Can we reduce the depth further? So now we reduce until log depth, classical result, and there are some results about if you want to improve a bit more the depth. And in fact, there is something which is thing that we always think about the big machinery or thing like that, but there is already something quite easy. If you have a circuit and you want to reduce it to depth 4, in fact, Quarant showed that we can do it in S to the square root of D log D. And the idea is very easy. In fact, we can notice something. This is very easy to parallelize IMM. If you look at the polynomial iterative matrix multiplication, it was what? It was just a multiplication of D matrices. Okay, now I say IMM of D and D. In general, I call it like that. I can say this matrices I do block of size square root of D. So I have a square root of D blocks, each block at size square root of D. And I say I can compute the matrix, which is the polynomial of one block. So the polynomial of one block, it is just something of the form. No, let me say it like that. The polynomial of one block is something just IMM of n square root of D. So if I can do IMM of n square root of D, I do it n square root of D times. Now I have square root of D new matrices, one for each block. I do again IMM n square root of D. Do the product of the thing. This idea of the product matrices we can do in the order, we can do block by block and multiply at the end. We know it's commutative, we don't change the result. Okay, now we expand this thing completely. We expand this completely. The number of numerals is at most S2 square root N2 square root of D. So we don't say, yeah, we say it's a sum of product of size S to the square root of D, same here. I explain everything. I write it as a sum of products. And you get something which is depth 4 inside S to the square root of D. Now, if you start with a circuit, you know a circuit, you can transform it into a ABP with a blow up when you put a log D at the exponent. And so you get S to the square root of D log D. So one thing is interesting is to get, in fact, a reduction to depth 4 from the circuit. In fact, it's quite easy. You need really no machinery at all. And if you start from something which is computed by an ABP, for example, determinant of IMM, in fact, you can directly get a reduction to depth 4 without nothing. So what happens now is what we want to really start with a circuit. So not something which is computed by a small ABP, and you want to get to depth 4. And so the idea is just to look at our circuit and look at gates which are of degree. So we get a homogeneous circuit. We can always homogenize it. We can get of degrees larger than square root of D, gates of degree at most square root of D. And voila, we want to do roughly the same ideas as IMM. We put this thing and this in, and you want to say the part below, we expand everything. So we know every polynomial of degree at most square root of D. So this is the side. And so there was one result that if you look at this thing, also the degree of this new circuit, so this new circuit corresponds to one polynomial, and the degree also is small when we start with the circuit we get by VSBR. We know the circuit was balanced in the fact that every multiplication gate, the degree decreased by at least 2. And this implies that, in fact, this circuit also is small, a small degree. It's a small degree, we can explain everything. And so we can get a circuit now of side A to the square root of D. So beating the bond, the immediate bond by the iterative matrix multiplication. Just fast, I will just want to show that this is possible, but in fact, and one thing also happens is we can look at all the steps, keep the homogeneity, and things like that. But I will not show the original proof. I will show just one proof, which is by Satarishi and Vinay, which I think is really easier to understand that. The idea is just the VSBR. What was the result? If you take the output, we can write it as a sum, that was S, of 5 elements. We take the output, so the sum, after at some point there are multiplications, there are 5 polynomials. And we knew something. So already, so what we have this is a depth 4 circuit, and but the size of this product, it will be the degree of this thing. We know it's d divided by 2 at most. And what we get something which is something smaller here. And so the idea is when the degree is large, we continue. We do this transformation. Fij is either UV or U. Either UV or U, and you can do that. UV is the worst case because you have 5, you have only 3, but so let's say that Fi1, the degree is more than T, is larger than what we want. Okay, we do the decomposition. Fi1, we replace it by a sum of some product, at most 5 products. What happens? It happens that the size increased by multiplied size by S, and the number of factors, we add 4 new factors. We removed 1, we add 5. Or maybe less, but we at most 4. We don't really need a lot of factors. The only thing we need, okay, let's go. So yeah, so we do this transformation, and at the end, we want that all factors are small degree, at most T. And in fact, exactly what we need what we do during one of these transformations. We take a gate and we replace it by something which is a sum of at most 5 factors. But we know something. We know that all the gates have degree at most half of this. This gate, if we explode it, it means the degree was at least at T. Otherwise, we will keep it. And as all the gates here have degree at most half, we know there is, let's say this is the gate with maximal degree after this one, they are ordered. We know this degree of this gate, in fact, is at least T divided by 5. Because the degree of all the sum of the degree will be T. So this one is at least T divided by 5. But this one is at most T divided by 2. So all these gates have degree at least T divided by 2. So this one has degree at least T divided by 8. T divided by 2 divided by 4. So during each explosion, we create at least 2 gates which have degree T divided by 8. So during one explosion, we remove 1 gate. We know that degree more than T, so more than T divided by 8. And we add at least 2 new gates which have degree at least T divided by 8. So in fact, numerically at the end, we add at least 1. We remove 1, we add 2. So each time we do something like that, an explosion, we remove 1 and we add 2 new gates which have degree T divided by 8. At the end, how many factors can get degree at least T divided by 8? As it is homogeneous, the number can be at most D divided by T. Otherwise, already the degree of these factors will give more than T. So we know the number of operations is at most D divided by T. A bit faster than what I said before. Number it will be D divided by T. So if we want to compute that, we can always compute it with at the end here S to the bco of D divided by T. Okay, let's take T equals square root of D for our idea. So you get something in sum of S to the big O of square root of D product. And now you have all polynomial of degree at most square root of D, T. So you can expand everything and get S to the big O square root of D. And you can look at that is square root of D. This big O square root of this because at each time we add a constant number of factors, we do a D divided by T steps. So we add roughly D divided by T, it is square root of D, so square root of the factors. Okay, so it is a reduction from circuit to therefore. We can say a few things. So can we do better if we start something stronger, if we have a stronger condition at the beginning? So here we only started with a small circuit. And in fact, yes. For example, if we start with a homogeneous formula, in fact, Rubens and Yudayev showed that if you have a homogeneous formula, you can always write it like that. This was sometimes it's called in general log product decomposition. So a small sum, polynomial size sum, with some factors, which each factor have a degree which decrease, but time by a constant factor. Imply in particular, there are at least log of d factors. Yeah, I wanted one slide just to give an idea. In general, when we want to do this proof, we really do it by induction. Mostly the same idea. You take a gate which has degree between 2/3 and 1/3 and do induction. But just in fact, there is a idea of that, how we can see it, I think maybe in an easier way. If you start from the top, if you take a path, and the idea, if you have a plus, you do where you want. If you have multiplication, you take the larger degree. So it makes a path from the top to some leaf. Now, in this path, you have one gate. You have one gate which is between 1/3 and the 1/3 and the 2/3. The degree of this gate, it is between, and so on. In fact, you can get a gate after when it's d1/9. Okay, and now what I claim the output phi. It is of the form phi when I replace u by 0 plus, in fact, each time, so this is a product gate. So it's a product, there are some product gate below, before. And I say that it's just a polynomial Q1 I multiply. Here I have the polynomial Q2. Each time I look at by which polynomial I multiply between this gate and this gate, I look at by all polynomial I multiply, between this gate and this gate, all polynomial I multiply, and so on. What I know this polynomial, the degree, it is between 1/3 and 2/3. For the Q2, it's the same. So this is a degree between them. This is a degree between them. So what is multiplied by that? So this Q1, Q2, grossly, has a good thing here. And so phi, it is just when you put 0, and the part which you remove when you put 0 is the part when you use u. And use u, there is only one way to use it, is to do Q1 times Q2 which is exactly the decomposition you want here. I think the usual thing when you do induction directly from one gate between there, it's easier to write it syntactically and formally like that. So it's better in general, you already see it like that. But in fact, these factors, we can already see it from the beginning. You don't need the induction to make it at this step. At the beginning, they're already in the circuit. You can find them. Alors, better starting point, you say now. So there is no result. I put some iteration. I put iteration because, in fact, I don't know if it is published somewhere. It appeared in some talks by Ramprasad. It appeared in the survey, but I don't know if it appeared in a paper somewhere. So I don't know if I forgot someone and citing only him. But using that, in fact, mostly the difference between that and VSBR. VSBR, it was only 5. Here we have log D. So mostly we have more factors. So we can do the same. It's just that here before us. Sorry. If I put a mixed square root of, if I put t, I just t, not square root. If I want to put t before it was d divided by t, we can force here to have more factors. In fact, we factor more our polynomial. Instead of d divided by t, we have d times log t divided by t. So just more factorized way to think that. And there is a recent result, maybe 4 years ago, by Kumar, Oliveira, and Saptareschi. When you start by a syntactically multilinear, something I think very interesting. And in fact, we can mostly, so this is multilinear to the degree it's supposed n, the number of variables. And if you take a polynomial of degree n, you expect that you can transform it in a 2 to the square root of n log s. And in fact, we can do better. We can do 2 to the square root of n log s. So we win something in the square root of log s in the exponent. So it's interesting only when it's multilinear and when the degree is close to the number of variables, when d is close to n. Otherwise, the previous thing was better. But in this case, in this setting, we can beat the usual reduction to depth 4. One thing I wanted to mention fast, I will put something here. It's the thing, if I just, here we cut in 2, but now we can cut in 3. We put here the gates which are below d to the 1/3. Here the gates which are between d to the 1/3 and d to the 2/3. And here we put the gates which are larger than d to the 2/3. In fact, all the things which appear before works now the same. We are always, in fact, the constraint we had in the LBR, it was local, it's just multiplication gate at 5, 9, 5. We don't really care about the degree, which is thing like that. So we can always transform that in sigma pi, sigma pi, sigma pi. And we get a depth 6 circuits of size. Each time we need to expand the polynomial of degree at most d to the 1/3. Okay, and then we can do it, write it like that, but I think it's not really readable. Can put it like that. So we have a sum of product d times, and each product is roughly of time d to the 1. And then you have to copy each time. In general, we think with delta constant, but we don't want delta constant. Yeah, you have to plug on the side. You have to. This is French delta here. Okay. Yeah, and sorry. So the result by Kumar, Oliveira, Satoshi as the same. You can improve it for general depth, larger depth. And the last thing I wanted to state a bit for the end is now I think we can get a bit improvement of the depth when we allow non-homogeneous thing. And so the idea is quite simple. In fact, we want to start from the depth 4 and to go to depth 3. In fact, we will use two things. One thing which is the Reiser formula, the Saxena duality trick, and things like that. In fact, what happened in Reiser formula, it's a way to transform a product into an exponent. No, sorry. Into a sum of 2 to the d. Fisher formula. And the Saxena duality trick is a way to transform a product of sum of sorry, I didn't mention what I call that. That is what it means an exponential gate. It means a gate with only one fan-in and do some exponent of the input. Let's write poly of A and B. A and B. So the first step is say we want to transform a product into a sum of exponent of sum. In fact, it's directly a consequence of Reiser formula. In fact, there were none before, it's what we call Fisher formula. But if you take the permanent, Reiser formula, it is a formula like that, size 2 to the n for the permanent. And now the idea, you can take the same variable in each column. So we put x1 in the column 1, x2, and so xd. So now you just have xj instead of xj. Now what you have, you know that here, this thing, it does not depend on I. So this product is just an exponent. This product is just an exponent. Now this thing, in fact, permanent of this thing is easy to compute. This is just d factorial, the product x1 until xd. What happened? We compute this product of size d by a constant times a sum of size 2 to the d exponent of sum. So it was in the Fisher formula. So we replace a product of size d by a sum of size 2 to the d. some exponent of size d and sum of size at most d. So we replace the product d by sum to the d product d. It's interesting for us because if we start by that, so we replace this product by a sum of 2 to the square root of d, product of square root of d, sum of square root of d. Similarly here. And now, if we merge the sum, we have the sum of product of sum of product of sum. Now you get the sum of product. Exponents. That is the main point, just to remove the product to make exponents. You get the sum of exponent of sum, x square root of d square root of d. And so the size will be, we'll get 2 square root of d here, but we already in the sum aside the 2 to the, but in here we already have s2 square root of d probably. So this is not important. Okay. So first part, checked. Second part, so we want to transform the exponent of some exponent in sum of product of sum. Okay, so what is it? Exponent of sum of exponent, it is an exponent of sum of exponents. Okay, and this is one result by Saxena. If you have something linear form in A, 2 to the A, you can write it like that. In fact, there is a very nice proof by Gupta, Ford, and Spilka of that. If you look at this polynomial, P of y of t, this you can look at in a polynomial in T, it will be y, and the term of degree 1 in T, it will be just y1 plus ys, which is what I call L, larger degree in T. And the total degree is at most S in T. Okay, so what I call LT. If I remove 1 here, I remove 1 here. Now I put to the D. To the A, I call it A. I put it to the A. So the lowest term is L to the A, T to the A. At the end, it's a polynomial of degree at most S to the A. Okay. And now, always a nice thing we can do an interpolation. We want to get something, this coefficient, L to the A, which is exactly that. Interpolation, what is it? We do a sum, which is a degree. So we need a sum of size mostly S to the A. And each element of the interpolation, it is this thing when we evaluate of T with a constant. T with a constant, so it's a Py, if I recall, it was a 1 plus x1 to some constant, so T which was a constant, times 1 plus x2 times a constant, and so on. In particular, this thing, if we expand this sum, we can notice it's just a product. In fact, we need to compute. If we expand it, we can expand in A plus 1. First, mostly we get the degree of this part we take each time. And so it will be just a sum of each element will be Py of T1, Py of A1 to the some exponent between 0 and A. This, I will just say that it's Py of T for some exponent. We just need to compute that. After we sum them to get this thing. This is just a linear combination of that. So this linear combination is of size at most A plus 1. So we have the S A square. We have SA for an interpolation, A for this thing. And now to compute that, Py of T is just a product of a univariate thing. So we can say it is a product. So the product was of size S. And the univariate thing to the L. So I can write something, L to the something, as a small sum of product of univariate polynomials. And now it's done. Why? Because us, we want to compute exponent of sum of exponents. So we know that by Fisher's trick. Fisher's trick, we know this thing. Okay, but no, the only difference is here we want some exponents. X1 x to the B. So we want xj to the B. But this was univariate. Replace the variable by the variable to the exponent is still univariate. It's univariate. So we'll just do it on C, the complex. the complex. If it is a univariate, we can factorize it. We can make this univariate and I factorize of the Fij. Okay, so we transform exponent of some exponent into a sum of product of sign of size 2. And so if here it was on the complex, we can do the same of R and Q. And we need to have a bit smaller blow up, but we need to simulate the constant by the way multiply. Going a bit fast. But there is something which happened here. We can notice when we do this thing is the degree, the polynomial we compute here is S times A times B. A times B was small, but S was very large for us. S, it was the S to the square root of D. So in particular, when we twist this part is really unhomogeneous, it's very surprising. But here we are compute something of times square root of D roughly times square root of D. So something of degree D. And in the middle, we compute something of time of degree D times 2 to the square root of D. So exponentially larger degree in the middle. That's why I say these things are really inhomogeneous. So what we have, we start from circuit, we can reduce the 4, and you can do a Fisher formula in an asterisk. What thing happened? It's what I said before, a bit fast, but like that. It's the first thing we're homogeneous. And the last step, we just see it, is really non-homogeneous. And even it implies exponential degree intermediate gate. So it's not clear which model is best to get a lower bound. In general, most lower bounds are done on this model. It's not because this one is at the end of the rows that it is the better. This is the best. Because yeah, we know it's homogeneous, so sometimes it's easier, really easier to get lower bound from the same. 39, sorry, I just put that after I just say. One thing I wanted to say that is the fact that we can play with the depth, and we can do the same here. We recall, I say that we can do in D to the 1/3. If it was computed by a small circuit, we say we can compute it like that. A size, it was S to the big O of D to the 1/3. It was a reduction to depth 6, we talked before. Okay, we do the same. We do Fisher's formula. Fisher formula, you go to and here the blow up is 2 to the D 1/3, so it's not important. What's important is here is a D to the 1/3. Here we do also Fisher formula. So we have a sum, usually a sum of exponent of sum of exponent of sum of product. And now you look at this exponent of sum exponent, and you do Fisher trick. So it's still in a 2 to the 2 D to the 1/3. And what you get at the end, we get a sum of product. It is the one from Saxena, so with large degree. S to the D to the 1/3. A sum to this one, a product. We do a reduction to the 4 inside S to the big O of D to the 1/3. So I say that we can always get that 4. We can do better than the famous S to the square root of D in D4. In D4, we can get S to the D to the 1/3. And in fact, we can get in that P, we can get S to the D to the 1 over P minus 1. In particular, with that, the determinant of the side IMM, and it's sufficient to get that, such a low bound. Okay, I will just mention Yeah, when I say here, I didn't. If you remember, when I do homogenization, I say it was okay for ABP, for circuit, for formula, probably not, a custom depth, not at all. But here at start, I didn't allow blow-up, super polynomial blow-up. We can say what I can say now if we allow a small blow-up. In fact, some RAS do something for formula, famous result by RAS. And in fact, for constant depth, we can homogenize. So already in Gupta, the joint version of Gupta, Kamat, Saptashi, they show that if we have a circuit of depth 3, we can compute it by a depth 5 circuit, which is homogeneous, with a blow-up, which is 2 to the square root of B. And in fact, we showed that this can be generalized for larger depths, constant depths. If we have a polynomial which is computed by a depth gamma circuit, you can homogenize it. The depth will increase a bit to gamma, but not too much. And the size will increase more, but sub-exponential. Thank you. Sorry again for the lens.
Yeah, no, very nice. So, and I think you gave all details, which is really amazing. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah.